Hey, Shalom, Shalom. This is your brother Yawatazak. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash. Okay, that is, in fact, the Most High God of heaven. All right, God of the Bible, His Son, whom the world calls Jesus, and of course the Rakakwadash, which is the Holy Spirit. All right, double honors. Want to give a double honors. All right, and a hearty shalom to the elders of Great Millstone who taught me this truth and who set a great example for all Israel. Okay, and of course to the other younger elders and brothers pushing this rock across the world. Okay, both here clustered in the Americas and overseas. I want to say shalom. Hey man, back again, and I it seems like I've been harping on this particular subject a lot lately, but as you can see on the screen, I am a Joe Rogan podcast. I think I'm a fan, I guess, and they go into a lot of things that pertain to the truth. And I like the fact that Joe Rogan is open-minded. Speaking as a man, he very well could be a Jake. It don't matter because he don't profess to be one, which is going to, lead to his destruction. But I digress. All right. So the commentary I kind of want to get into today is done by astrophysicist Michio Kaku, all right, and it's on obviously the shift in the UFO phenomenon, all right, and he said some very interesting things. I thought that the questions Joe asked were very relevant, and the answers that Mr. Kaku gave were alluding to the same things that we believe, okay? Because we know, because of the scriptures, that the UFO phenomenon is not a new thing. The internet is a new thing, okay? And so with that now, you'll have a rise in accounts, okay? So he's kind of going to go through the dynamic of, how the sightings and experiences have ramped up in years, how the reports have ramped up, and how you can kind of check to see, if these things are valid or not. And I thought this was very interesting and edifying for real, because, those in the know, it's going to be scriptures that come to mind, and I'm not going to bring out too many. I'm more or less kind of going on a spiritual rant. I would like to really just call it like, UFO commentary, but I will say that, there is a lot of scriptures that deal with it, and I might bring out a few. Without further ado, I want to play just portions. It's about 15 minutes long. Definitely not going to play the whole thing, but it's some key phrases that, allude to the fact that the U.S. government or the powers that be, the scientific community at the top, okay, understand the power of the Most High and the Most High's angels. And so with that, I want to, just go ahead and start the video. And then, of course, I'll stop and kind of give my own commentary of what I think, through the Spirit.
Times article, in my mind, made that was a big shift, because when the New York Times is reporting about it and saying that this is major news and this is real and there's video evidence that they can't ignore, when you talk to high-level people at the government and people like Commander David Fravor, who had that infamous spotting off of the coast of San Diego, when you hear about people like that are very reputable, it starts to change the conversation in a lot of people's eyes.
Right. See, it used to be that one person would see something in the sky and say, look, Martha, look, there's something up there. Now things have changed. Now we have multiple sightings by multiple modes. That is the gold standard for looking for.
Yeah, because, it tells you that in the scriptures that the unicorn, or it says, will the unicorn help the woman? All right. And we know through the Spirit that it's referring to the World Wide Web. OK, the unicorn referring to the World Wide Web. All right. And this is one of the ways that it helps us, man, because it is whereas, of course, you go log on social media and the internet, it's tons and tons of, complete garbage. All right. Filth. All right. Of the world. But at the same time, the internet is the median in which this gospel is being pushed towards the whole earth, all right? And so one of the key things about this gospel is the fact that this UAP or UFO phenomenon has nothing to do with little green men, Area 51, or no type of monsters that come from the sky. What it has to do with is the chariots of Israel, okay? The chariots of the Most High, okay? The Lord has his messengers, man, his angels, his warriors, all right? And they're out here all the time, cloaked in the clouds. You see that throughout the scriptures, man. All right. Every single time, all right, you hear about the chariots coming out of heaven, all right, or some miraculous thing in the sky. It's always a cloud. It's always a light. It's always a chariot of fire. It's always a whirlwind. Okay. And that's what we're seeing nowadays. All right. Not as prevalent as before. All right. But the point I'm making is that these are still very evident that the Most High is here, his presence is here, his servants are here, the angels in these crafts, and it's being made manifest more and more because of the internet. All right? So let me play some more.
These objects. Not just one person, but several people that are reputable. Not just radar, but visual sighting, infrared sensors, telescopic evidence. Now we have multiple sightings by multiple modes. And so the burden of proof has shifted. It used to be the burden of proof was on the people who believed in UFOs. They saw something, prove it. Now the burden of proof has shifted to the Pentagon, to the military. Now they have to prove that these aren't extraterrestrial. And so I think there's been a sea change in the last just several years. 50 years ago, there was a congressional hearing, and it was coming out of Project Blue Book. And there was a lot of laughter.
Hey, man, like he just said, it went from, people having sightings and, the world thinking that these people are crazy. Like, listen, man, show us proof that what you saw was real. OK, and now the sightings and experiences are so prevalent. They're so, eclectic and numerous that the burden of proof is in fact shifted to the federal governments, not just in the United States, but of the world, because you have high-ranking officials like they made earlier. They were talking about, Joe had mentioned a pilot off the coast of San Diego, who is one of the people who actually filmed, this phenomenon, of course, and we know it's the chariots because, of course, it cannot maneuver, okay? You know what I mean? But the point that I'm making, hey, man, is that now it's to the point where they have to tell us that this isn't real. But guess what? They can't. So what did they do? They came out just in the past, year or so? All right. And what have they been saying? Hey, man, these things are real and we don't know what they are. But we know that they know what it is, or else there wouldn't be a Space Force. Right. And he's going to kind of touch on that a little bit later on. Salakia, let's get back to it.
And a lot of jokes about little green men in outer space. 50 years ago, that's the way it was. Now things have changed. Now people are looking at are they a threat militarily? What kinds of sensors do we have? What kind of metrics do we have? We now have frame by frame an analysis of these objects. These objects travel between Mach 5 and Mach 20. That's 20 times the speed of sound.
Hey.
These objects can zigzag, and we can measure the G-force inside this object. The G-forces are several hundred times the force of gravity. In other words, any living person's bones would be crushed by these objects, so they're probably drones of some sort.
Hey, man, so you hear what he's saying, okay? They can zigzag. They can, do miraculous feats. The G-forces that would be in here would kill any human. All right. Why? Because what's in these things, and he's going to kind of, brush this over and, what I mean, and not say what he wants to say for real. And I'm sure it's because he doesn't want to be ostracized in the scientific community. But what he's basically saying is that, it can't be anything living in these things, or it's a possibility these aren't living things because the G-forces are too much. However, newsflash, all right, the spiritual beings that are the angels, okay, spiritual beings that are the angels, all right, don't have to worry about G-forces, man. All right, we're talking about something that goes from the the fourth dimension and comes to the third dimension, man. They're in the third dimension while still being in the fourth dimension. That's why we can't see them, even though they're all around us right now. Hey, it remind me of the story of Elisha, man, when his servant, his servant was afraid when the Assyrian king had them surrounded on a mountain, man. And he's like, yo, what do we want to do? And he said, man, listen, if you only knew, then you would see that it's more of us, okay, than there is of them. And then, the Lord, he prayed to the Lord to allow his servant to see, and the boys seen it, all right, and was amazed, man, because he saw chariots of fire all around the mountain, surrounding them who he was originally afraid was surrounding him in Elisha, man.
It can drop 70,000 feet in a few seconds.
70,000 in a few
It
seconds.
can drop a tremendous distance in just a few seconds, and they can go underwater. This is something that we didn't realize.
Hey, man, and that's beautiful, right? Because they're corroborating what historians of old have kind of dismissed, man. If you go into the journals of Christopher Columbus, okay, him and his sailors seen these so-called UFOs, and they went underwater. All right, so here we are. What was it? What was it? 1600s? All right, 1400s? I don't know. I forget. But whenever what was it, 1500s? When Columbus got here, 1400s? Something like that? I don't know. I don't remember off the top of my head. But either way, all right, we're confirming something now that happened hundreds of years ago. Okay? Hundreds of years ago. Damn near 1,000. All right, and it was written in the Bible even then. It was written in the scriptures even then, man. The Israelites of old knew what was going down. All right, modern science is just now getting a hint. All right, and just as the Lord is showing what's real and what's the real powers, once you really see it, all right, it's going to be Second Ezra's 13, man. All right.
Before, but yes, they can actually go underwater. And they also move without creating an exhaust or breaking the sound barrier. So these are things that we can now document frame by frame looking at these videotapes.
So for yourself, what was the shift? And how?
Hey, man, listen, it say in the end, it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, man. It shall not tarry. We in them times now, man. All right, where the Lord is showing himself. Okay? I don't know what's going on. I got this itch in my throat. Yeah, man. So, you gotta see what the Lord is doing, man. The Lord is allowing Esau and these other heathen governments and just plain Jane folks around the world to see these things, and they in fact are an omen of things to come. All right, what is that thing to come that it's forewarning? It's forewarning the return of Yahweh Shai, man. And it's a beautiful thing, man. We seeing the most miraculous shit in the world unfolding before our eyes, man. This is why the brothers believe so much. This is why them crazy niggas is on the corner. All right? Because they believe. And guess what? The Lord is validating everything they say.
Program. But because Vladimir Putin announced the hypersonic drones, then the United States military said, oops, nope, we have to get into the game too. So now the United States is also working on hypersonic drones as well as the Chinese. So the Chinese, the Russians, and the Americans are all working on these things. But you can see how primitive they are. We're talking about objects that defy the known laws of aerodynamics with a technology beyond what we have today. And so that's why people are scratching their heads. Whose are these things if they're not the Chinese, the Russians, or the United States?
So one of the main points of contention is the lack of visible propulsion method, right? There's no.
Before I want to go on, I want to make a comment. Did you hear the countries that he's referring to? Because I didn't play it, but it went into how scientists theorize that these could just be hypersonic drones, hypersonic missiles. All right, because that was a thing of theory and is now in use. They're using it right now in the whole Russia and Ukraine war. Okay, but like he said, those still follow the laws of the physics that we understand. But what they're observing, all right, of course, they're observing in chariots. They do not follow the laws of physics. Why? Because they are fourth dimensional beings and fourth dimensional technology. In other words, celestial beings and celestial technology, man. All right. But, understand that we are also hearing physicists correlating the major players in World War III, all right, with the UFO phenomenon, man. You think that's a coincidence? Come on, man. Especially because the Lord is going to come back in at the height of World War III. It's beautiful.
It essentially, there's no heat signature. There's nothing that we understand to be present that normally exists when something is going at a tremendous rate of speed.
That's right. Not only that, these objects create no sonic booms. When you exceed the sound barrier, you create a gigantic boom that is then shatters windows and can be heard miles around. These objects, and they don't create any exhaust.
Right.
We don't see any exhaust. Have a set of laws of physics beyond what we can muster.
Right, because it's celestial.
Now, if they are a optical illusion, if an object were to move away the wind, but these objects do not do that. These objects can go against the direction of the wind. Not only that, but we have multiple sightings. If an object is very, very far away, if an object is close to you, but you think it's far away, then it's traveling at an enormous velocity while it's actually just drifting in front of your eyes. How do you tell the difference? By having multiple sensors, radar, infrared sensors,
right.
Visual sighting. Then you can tell how far this object is away from you, and then you can say that, no, it's an optical illusion. Well, we do that now. We have multiple sightings of these objects. By radar, we know how the velocity, the distance. Each time it comes out to be real. And so that's why we're scratching our heads. Who has this capability? And the answer is, we don't know.
Is there...
The answer is, we don't know. Well, guess what? We know, and it's the Most High. You hearing this man who is a scientist tell you in a nutshell, the Most High and the angels are real. And it cannot be. Listen, if whatever is controlling this decided to invade us, that we are no competition. And guess what? He's right. All right? You hearing this, man? Like, you don't gotta believe them crazy niggas on the corner. You can go listen. Physicist Michio Kaku is telling you, validating exactly what these niggas is talking about on the corner. Really validating what the Bible says. And we don't need the validation. Because you can look up in the sky and see it for yourself, right? But since everybody want to listen to the people of the world, this is a worldly man telling you what's up.
Anything that's theoretical that you're aware of that could be applied, like from some other planet or some other galaxy or whatever, that something that maybe we have theorized that could be
things, they sort of like laugh, giggle, their eyes roll up to the heavens, and they say something very simple, that a rocket using conventional means would take 70,000 years to reach us from the nearest star. Therefore, these objects cannot exist. 70,000 years for a Saturn rocket traveling at 25,000 miles per hour to go from a nearest star to the planet Earth. That's why most scientists disregard these sightings, because they defy the laws of Einstein.
But isn't that kind of silly? Isn't that kind of like saying, like, you know how long it would take you to get a horse from Los Angeles to Sydney, Australia? Isn't that kind of like saying that?
Exactly. And that's why I say that assumes that these aliens or whatever are maybe 100 years more advanced than us. But open your mind to the possibility that they are 1,000 years more advanced than us. 1,000 years is nothing compared to the age of the universe.
Right.
The universe is about 13 billion plus years
He's about to
old.
go into
That's
some
how the
things
age
that
of the
really
universe.
point out the power
and
of the
so
Most
the
High.
age of a civilization, just a few thousand years ahead of us, that is just a blink of an eye to the universe itself. And once you go to higher energies, the laws of physics begin to break down. The laws of Einstein and the laws of the quantum theory
Right.
break down at something called
It's
the
not a
Planck
law,
energy.
it's quantum theory.
Why is that important? That's what I do for a living. I work on something called string theory, which lives at the Planck energy. The Planck energy is 10 to the 19 billion electron volts. That is a quadrillion times more powerful than our most powerful atom smasher outside Geneva, Switzerland.
Yo, this man said that, all right, and he's going to go into this bonk energy or whatever. I don't know how he's pronouncing it. I think it's bulk or bonk. I don't know. But basically, he's going into it. He's saying that, well, he's going to get into it. But you heard what he said. To be able to harness that energy is something quadrillion times more powerful than what we are trying to find, or let me not say we, what they are trying to find with the atom smasher, which is the Hadron Collider over in Europe, all right? I believe between France and Switzerland, if I'm not mistaken. It's also where all of those demonic rituals and a giant, statue of Shiva, the Hindu god of death, is out there where they do rituals and things like that, and they try to open up portals, all right, to other dimensions, to the fourth dimension, really. Okay, and so also it's where where they did try to open a portal and they got a message out of it, and it's Tekel, which is one of the same messages that the writing on the wall during the time of Daniel, all right, when he was under I believe the Syrian or Babylonian captivity, all right, he was the one that translated for you. And basically, the Lord has found you unbalanced or waning in the balance or something like that. Basically, you're on imbalance, and now it's time for you to go down. All right. Also, okay, you have to understand what type of power it's talking about, man. All right, that's the most that in itself that they're doing over in the Hadron Collider theoretically could destroy the entire planet. We know that it's not going to, because the scriptures say the earth abideth forever. All right, if something like that was going to happen, it would be prophesied. All right, but it gives you an idea of how much more powerful, because he's gonna go into it about who can harness this bonk energy, because he said that energy is so powerful that that now the laws of physics don't apply, just like the laws of physics don't apply to the Most High's angels and the chariots, right? Let's listen.
Any civilization that can harness the Planck energy would be able to become masters of space and
Planck
time.
energy.
Space and time, as we know it, become unstable at the Planck energy, which is far beyond anything that we can muster here on the planet Earth.
Right.
So we physicists theorize, how advanced do you have to be to access the Planck energy? Well, we rank them. The Kardashev scale says that there could be type 1, type 2, or type 3 civilizations. A type 1 civilization is maybe 100 years more advanced than us, to maybe 1,000 years, sort of like Buck Rogers or Flash Gordon. They control the weather. Volcanoes, earthquakes, anything planetary, they control. That's type 1.
And Esau
Then there's
is
type
damn
2.
near there already.
Type 2 is stellar. They harness the power of an entire star, like Star Trek. Star Trek would be a typical type 2 civilization where they manipulate entire stars. Then there's type 3. Type 3 is galactic. They roam the galactic space lanes. They play with black holes, like the Empire of the Star Wars series would be a typical type 3 civilization. Then the next question is, what type do you have to be to harness the Planck energy? The energy at which space and time become unstable, where wormholes may develop, gateways through space and time, portals through empty space. You have to be type 2 or most likely type 3. Then the next question is, how long will it take before you become type 3? Well, we are maybe 100 years away from being type 1. We're maybe a few thousand years from being type 2, and we're maybe 100,000 years from being type 3. And 100,000 years is nothing. nothing on a galactic scale. The age of the universe is, as I said, over 13 billion years old. And so once a civilization reaches the Planck energy, that is a type 3 civilization, space and time become your playground.
Hey, man, that's beautiful, right? You heard what he said? He was saying that, you know, to be able to harness the Planck energy, which I was mispronouncing it earlier, Salakia, but to be able to harness that type of energy, all right, that it will give you the ability to basically treat space and time as your playthings, okay? That you can go through different dimensions is what he was really getting out of. You know, he talking about portals and things of that nature, all right? So that's what these UAPs, UFOs are able to do. He's talking about the energy that's really the only thing that that's what the Most High, that's beneath what the Most High can do, man. You know? And I just really liked how, you know, he took a science approach to unknowingly expound on how powerful these celestial, fourth dimensional spacecraft and celestial angels in fact are, man. You know, and I thought that was really enlightening, man. I hope that it was edifying. All right, I'm going to close out and give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bashem, Yahushai, Bashem Rakakodash. Double honors to the elders at Great Millstone, and Shalom to the elect, man. Listen, keep your eyes to the sky, man, because they out here, and guess what? They coming to get us soon, man. Big bro coming back on that mountain. Second address 13. Let's go. Shalom.